When I was in Europe, I did get this sense that people are frustrated, right? So you look at the Irish economy and it's killing it, absolutely killing it, doing so much better than, say, Italy. Italy, it's sort of tragic because I met so many young people there that were fluent in English, that were really well educated. But, one of the women I met, she was maybe in her late 20s, who worked at the hotel, and she told me they make €6 by the time the taxes are out. They get like €9, but then they take taxes out, so she gets €6 an hour. She's like, nobody can get married, nobody can, you can't start a family. You're living at home well into your late 30s. It's really, and you see it reflected even in the birth rate. And we went to Ireland, and Ireland's actually, it's just phenomenal. And you see all the building that's going on there, and the quality and standard of living is so much better than you see, say, in Italy or perhaps in Spain or in Portugal or Greece. And I just kind of question at what point did, people in Ireland say, hey, we kind of got our act together. They put in a lot of really smart economic policies going back all the way to the late 60s, actually, which then once they got through some of their challenges, the troubles, et cetera, really helped lay the groundwork for a thriving economy. And they've just been so successful because of the tech investment there. And it's resulted in such a better standard of living. So at what point do people in Ireland or people in Germany or, elsewhere say, like, we're kind of sick of it. Like, we're having to support the rest of you Frenchies over there in France, which, by the way, is not doing as well. It's doing better than Italy or Spain, but you compare and contrast it with the likes of Ireland, forget it.
Yeah, no, I've had the same reaction when I visited Europe. It's like all of this kind of wasted potential. You have these like highly educated people who would be like thriving in the United States and polished and verbal and sophisticated, and they're working in like service jobs. Their economy is just not as many opportunities. So they have big kind of more socialist style. You know what? Like, what a lot of it has to do with is like these wage and price controls, and like in France, it's like you can't fire anyone, which is great if you don't want to get fired, but that's not great for businesses, new business creation, or for new hiring. You're not going to hire someone who you can't get rid of. So it's like a very sclerotic system. They've had slower GDP growth. They have smaller economies, despite the fact that they have like a very, educated and kind of high potential population. They've gone nowhere. They've gone nowhere with tech, right? Like, look at all of the big tech companies are basically in the United States. China has some. But in Europe, there's literally a couple of important tech companies. So all that talent, all that education, all those beautiful cities, what do they have to show for it? And now you've got these kind of social issues with their immigration problem, and it's arguably more acute than what we're dealing with here, and the divisions are more severe politically. In the UK, people getting thrown in jail for expressing dismay about the immigration problem.
Unbelievable. I'm blown away by that. It's a very, very different way of living. And I think that they've kind of, what I don't want to see us become, Rob, I don't want to see us become Europe. So when I hear price controls, when I hear $25,000 for new homeowners, and we're going to sweeten the deal if you happen to be a first generation homeowner, and we want to forgive everybody's college loans and all of this stuff that has been tried before and has resulted in stagnant economies. Although I would say, like, our taxes are way higher than they are in Europe. I was blown away. In Switzerland, the highest top rate is 22%. So they actually amazingly don't even have as high taxes as we have here in the US. Like, we got that honor, thank you very much. Which is why it's important. Like, people, I get it, like, Trump is not everybody's cup of tea, but when you look at the policies themselves and you look at tax policy, for example, which I'm keenly just interested in and always have been, he's just had the most sensible policy in my perspective, and sensible policy in terms of generating more growth for our economy. And more growth means more opportunity for everyone. And shouldn't that be what it's about, as opposed to, okay, well, this group can have opportunity in this group because we think you've been underserved, but you guys, you're done. I think it's a very dangerous dystopian kind of view of things that she's potentially putting us into, and let's hope that we don't go there. But hey, we'll see. Congress has something to do with it too. So it's not just the Oval Office. I think everybody's got to stay focused on everything, including all of those races. From a market perspective, though, I think long term, it's hard to bet against the US of A. You just can't. Like, I would never bet, because where else are you going to go? Canada? China? I realize they all, China and Russia, they're starting a barter system apparently this fall because of sanctions with Ukraine, et cetera, and with us. And, they can't trade together if they're going to still trade with us, China that is. And so now they got a barter system they're setting up. Basically, we're driving Russia straight into China's hands. They want some other system, right? They don't want to be dependent on investing in the U.S. economy and treasury bonds, but I don't really know where else you'd go. And maybe that's 40 years out, 50 years out, 100 years out, I don't know. But in the sort of here and now, the present, I really like the USA. In fact, I'll just share some information about my own portfolio. I used to actually have a much more, going back quite a few years, much more diversified in terms of emerging markets and global stocks. And I don't know, maybe 8 years ago or so, I was just like, no, why? Yeah. I actually really, there's some diversification in there. And if you're in a multinational, you're obviously getting that diversification. But I just really liked U.S. companies and feel that this is the best opportunity. And by the way, it was the right call.
Yeah. And look, I've always been a global investor and worked on international funds and sort of know my way around some of these developed and emerging, stock markets. And what's really interesting is over the last 10 years, just in terms of the US share of the global equity market, it's now something like 65%. So, it wasn't always like that, but it used to be below 50%. So it's like, just in terms of, in the same way that like tech is overtaking the US stock market, the US through tech really is taking over the global stock market. So it's almost becoming irrelevant, whether you own foreign stocks. It's like you can own some Europe, you can own some Japan, okay, emerging markets, pick your spots. But it's like the opportunity set itself is now, $2 out of $3 in global equities is US anyway.
Yeah.
And, within US stocks, as you pointed out, these are international companies. So you're getting access to those economies, but you're doing it through, owning U.S. corporations, the U.S. legal system. Hopefully it stays flexible and our legal system stays stable and secure the way it's been in terms of protecting property rights. But so it's like you're not really
save that sort of pessimism for another day. Yeah, it's got to. As much as Kamala might like to think otherwise, I still think, look, we got a constitution, we have a Supreme Court still. We are the United States of America, and we're still like, it's the number one place everyone wants to be. They're coming here for a reason, for sure. Hey, Rob, I'll talk to you again over the week and over the weekend, but I just want to remind people to use code word dollar, DOLLAR. We're just talking about the US dollar. Go use code word dollar. You can get these 4 stock picks actually for just $1. It's just $1 a month there on 76 Research, introductory for the first couple of months, and it goes up to $9.95. But I'm telling you, this is the best investment in the here and now that you can probably make. So it's a good chance over the weekend to actually do some thinking. If you're already invested in the market, great. Perhaps we can sort of help refine some of the ideas that you have around the market by reading this research. And so I encourage you to do that. 76research.com. Use code word dollar.